for a time to escape all your demons. Show me a sign of life to feel the feeling.
So what are you waiting for? Standing clear side of you. Is there a meaning to behold? Nothing can get past you. We could try to outrun this earth. At least hide away from the demons within us.
You don't talk at all, just surrender to the lonely road. Left with nowhere to run, held by the curse we know.
So what are you waiting for? Standing clear side of you. Is there a meaning to behold? Nothing can get past you. We could try to outrun this earth. At least hide away from the demons within us. At least hide away from the demons within us. I know that I have been selfish. Baby, I've been so helpless. You and I will never be the same. Our hearts are moving quickly, rushing to a place we've never been. Our footprints washed away. Would you hold my hand again? And I miss you. And I wonder, would I do it again? And I miss you. And I wonder, would I do it again? Are you coming back? Did you make miss you, and I wonder, would I do it again?
Wow, wow, wow. The unbelievable techno music afforded to me by my free Streamlabs license means it must be time, Mr. Michael Johnson, for the Garden State Esports 2025 Winter Playoff Reveal Show. What's up, Mike?
Yeah, it's been a long day in the dungeon, but we got some good brackets coming out. Should be an exciting time in March. I think we got a lot of new faces. I think we got a lot of some programs that have been there before, and we'll see what happens when it all goes down and live and in person.
Live and in person, March 1st, Georgian Court University. So nice. We'll do it twice. We're going back to the casino, now with improved crowd control. So no need to fear, my friends.
Now with
Uh,
more ropes.
Now with more ropes. Let's see. Let me check in on my chat real quick. Chat, what's going on? How do we look? How do we sound? You know, two old guys with new kids. Not a lot of time to prep. You know what I mean?
No.
Not a lot of time. W sound, like
Yeah.
it.
I got sassed all stream last time, so I upgraded my microphone.
Yes, you guys bullied Mike into getting a new mic. Mics on mics. But wow, yeah, like you said, I mean, walk us through a little bit. We say it all the time, but I feel like this is the, I don't know, millionth consecutive season that's been bigger than the last. What did the numbers look like for this winter?
The numbers looked, like you said, we just get bigger every single season. This year we had 163 varsity level teams. That is our largest fall season ever. We had 144 contenders level teams. That is our largest contenders in the fall ever. 27 unified teams, and it was all coming from 128 unique schools. So, you know, some schools had a team and everything. Some schools just played one game. We had 128 schools playing with us in the fall, the largest fall we've ever had. So the league just keeps getting bigger. We're almost, 40, 50% of the state now in terms of just how many schools are playing with us between middle school and high school. We're getting to the point where when you win a state championship, you legitimately are the best team in the state in that game. Like there is no one else left that isn't playing that could be like, no way, we were over here doing our thing. We're better than you. No, we got everybody. So all the competition is here.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see throughout the show some of that new blood is sprinkled in. We got some first time teams really making an impact. I mean, it may be no surprise. Some of the schools that have joined us are, some perennial powerhouses in traditional sports. So to see some of their winning ways continue into esports, I think is super exciting. But as always, Mike, let's walk through the playoff score. This is the part of the show, friends, where we like to hit you with the algebra. So, kids, if you need some examples on math in the real world and why it matters, walk us through, Mike, the playoff score.
Yeah, so we do our best to make sure that everybody gets that standard 7 week competitive season. You play 7 different opponents, you have a nice, neat conference of 8, but we can't guarantee that that's actually how the conferences shape out. We don't always have even divisible by 8 numbers of teams that participate in each title. So what we've done is we've come up with a formula to account for your wins, your losses, and then even how you performed within those games. So take example from this season, an Overwatch match. So it's a best of 3 or first to 2 wins. It's a best of 3 match. So we want to know who won 2-0, who won 2-1, and we get into the nitty gritty that way, and we boil it all down into a single formula. The reason we do that is that some schools play 7 week seasons. Some schools play 6 week seasons. We even saw in one of our titles some schools playing 5 week seasons, and we don't want to penalize a team for doing what we asked of them, play 5 matches and doing it really well, versus teams that got to play 6 times, got to play 7 times. However, if we, through the luck of the draw, we wound up telling your school, you got to play 7 times, and you went undefeated, you're not going to be penalized for that either. So if
Right.
you get the harder road and you see success, you're rewarded numerically as well. So we've been using this formula, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, since last spring.
I think so, yeah. At least
It's
2
been
years.
quite a few seasons in a row now, and it seems to be bearing out very well in terms of a balanced bracket and weighting everybody um, evenly and fairly. And so before we get to the dense math chart later, it's a pie chart. So your individual map winning percentage, so how you won a match or how you lost a match, that is 3/8 of your playoff score. Winning or losing the match as a whole is 3/8 of your playoff score. And then when we give you 3 points for a win, 1 point for a tie in titles that can tie, none this season, you get 2/8 or a fourth of your playoff score. And so that's how we boil it all together in order to create a nice weighting where you're not penalized for a shorter length of a schedule, but you're also rewarded for getting a longer schedule and winning all of those games.
Right. So, what works out to is we show you the math behind the actual formula.
Yeah, Mr. Shornstadt always told me you got to show your work. So this is it here. If you want to uh, do it yourself, you can. All of this information is available to the club advisors in the dashboard, so you can see everybody's match win percentage. You can see everybody's game win percentage. You can calculate the points, and you can even see all the playoff scores. Like that's always listed internally on the dashboard when you log in. It's not on the public-facing standings pages, but we show our work. So none of this is obscure or hidden. We're very transparent of how we do it, and my Excel formula. Sometimes I make typos, so if you do find something that messes up, here it is in here, so you can correct us if necessary.
Yeah, I mean, and what it means ultimately is if you get to your league, your bracket, you wonder why you didn't make it, what happened, how you got edged out, go replay this part of the video because that'll explain exactly what happened. But yeah, um, and then walking through, right, when it comes to the seeding process, playoff score usually gets us to where we need to be. But one of the things that we do consider is head to head matchups when the two teams are directly above or below each other. So if you have a playoff score that puts you below somebody that you have beat head to head, right, you can jump that team. That's important to know. On top of, we get all the time, well, if I'm the eighth place team and I knocked off the second place team and lost to everybody else on the board, well, shouldn't I be jumping the second place? No. What we're going here, right? I always tell the story. I have seeded, wrestling for the NJSIA for a long time and was part of the districts groups that used to work out all the seeds. And one of the things that always stuck with me from those meetings when we were coming up with seeds for states was basically your job is to get the best team into the first seed, and then your job is to get the next best team. And ultimately, at the end of the day, right, seeding is an art, not a science. At some point, you got to beat somebody, and just because you beat one team doesn't mean you get to jump the entire board. So, playoff score basically is going to be the largest determining factor in where you're put. But after that, if you do have a head-to-head win, which we do have some of that throughout the show, you do have the ability to jump the team in front of you, right? Forfeits, right, are always factored in. Player matches, nothing is worse than a forfeit. So there are some teams that aren't getting in because they forfeited matches, right? And then you'll see that we do things like record versus common opponents. So if I beat somebody who lost to somebody, else, that's your common opponent. Best wins is the best team on the board that you beat. And then strength of schedule is actually, you explain this really well, Mike. I'm terrible at explaining strength of schedule. Walk through
Yes,
real quick what strength of schedule is.
strength of schedule is kind of what it says on the tin. It's when we want to determine what conference champion should be seated above the others, and they tie, and this whole flow chart. We get down to the strength of schedule. So like we try and quantify which conference was harder to win. And the way we do that is we average out all of the playoff scores from the schedule, including the winning teams. So you do have control over your own destiny somewhat in determining the strength of your conference. That is because playoff score is not. Here's more math. It is not zero sum, where an increase in playoff score for one team does not necessarily mean a decrease in playoff score for the others. So when you find that matches are very close and you're not seeing a lot of 2-0s, you're not seeing a lot of 3-0s in those best of five
Right.
games, the average playoff score for the entire conference will go up. When you have a lot of teams that beat each other and it's not 7-0, 6-1, 5-2, 4-3, 3-4, all the way down the line where it's perfectly linearly ranked, well, that would make it very easy for us.
Right.
It's fun to see that because that also will raise the average playoff score for that whole conference. And so that's how we differentiate between, and you'll see that in some of the slides that we get to. That's how we'll differentiate between some of these conference champions that both went perfect, where they won all 7 of their matches, they won all 14 of the games. So how do you differentiate those? Well, we take the average playoff score of each conference, and the team that beat the harder conference gets the higher seed.
Absolutely. So that's strength of schedule and no coin flips, I think, this time, right?
No coin flips this time.
Which
A
is always
couple
a
of
shame.
couple of triangles
Yeah, so we do have
that
some
we'll be have to.
triangles that we got to solve because the triangles must be satisfied. So you'll see that when Team A beats Team B, but Team B beats Team C, and Team C beats Team A, you find yourself in what we affectionately call a triangle. And if that is the case, what happens is this triangles must be satisfied. So we go through right this seeding process as we show you the continued formula here.
Yeah, so this is how we deal with everybody who didn't win their conference.
You see the triangles in the
So
chat are coming in.
your your conference champions get the automatic bids to the playoffs. So we usually have 18 brackets now. The top 2, 3, 4 seeds are all conference champions. And then from there, we fill out the bracket. If you're familiar with traditional sports, like in football, baseball, literally everyone else, they call them wild cards. That's how we fill the rest of the bracket out, and we go in order of this. So we rank you all in order of playoff score, and then we look to see if any of the teams that have the exact same win-loss record have any head-to-heads. And that's how we break that out. And then we use the same flow chart that you saw before in separating these teams. And fewest forfeits is a big one. There's a reason why it's up there so highly. What's great about GSE is that no one really ever gets suspended. So option B in the flow chart we don't really use, but we do. We essentially rank forfeits right after head-to-head matchups. So everyone loses in terms of a forfeit, and it is penalized in terms of your playoff seed. And you will see teams fall into some pretty dangerous matchups where if they had not forfeited matches, they would have been a little bit higher and, perhaps have what may be perceived as an easier road if they had a higher seed.
Cool. So with all of the classwork out of the way, Mike, we ready to jump in?
Absolutely.
All right. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Starting off first, we have middle school overcooked. Mike, walk us through. What do we have? Who is going right to Georgian Court?
Yeah, so every single one of these matches will be played live in person at Georgian Court on March 1st. But we had our two conference champions. Those are, when you see slides like these, those are the teams with the stars next to them. They won their conference. Our top overall seed is Southern Regional, coming right back to the dance after their strong performance in the fall. They're followed up by Renaissance. Center School takes the 3 spot. Harrington Park, Stafford, Matawan, Aberdeen, Boys and Girls Club of Camden, new face, right to the playoffs at the 7 seed. And then Burnett rounds out our top 8. It wouldn't be GSE playoffs without Burnett. So
this is true. So we throw it up on the bracket, and you'll see Southern Regional is going to take the 1 seed playing Burnett. Harrington Park is going to be playing Stafford. Center School versus Matawan, and then we got Renaissance versus the Boys and Girls Club of Camden. And we always like to do our picks, Mike.
yes.
And so for our picks, we have what we call to win, who we think is going to win a state title. We have to watch. This is somebody from the top half of the bracket that has the possibility of making some noise and stealing perhaps a state championship and some upsets. And then we have our dark horse, right? Our dark horse being somebody from the bottom half of the bracket that if you're facing them early, you better be careful, right? Don't look past them. Might be a trap game because these teams usually come to compete. So for me, with middle school overcooked, I'm going to take Renaissance. Renaissance, new to the crew. And anytime a new team comes out and performs well, I have to think there's a little bit to it. Now, I will also say throughout the show, as I always do, playing live is no joke. And if you were at Georgian Court in the fall, you know how packed it was. It is going to be no less packed, improved crowd flow, but it is going to be no less packed. And so for a new program to be able to compete from their school against other schools, you know what? Cool. Like, that's fine. You're in the comfort, the safety of your own school. Maybe got your own team there cheering you on. But when you get to Georgian Court and you see the thousands of people in attendance, it gets loud and it gets intense. So Southern Regional, I see, is your to win. They had a great showing in their first season, so I'm feeling a little bit confident that Renaissance, new kids on the block have the possibility maybe to pick up the win here.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go with Southern Regional. They exploded onto the scene with Rocket League, and they've been in and around the GSE ecosystem. I know they work closely with Stafford, and so they sort of have an inside track into how this works, but they've been there, like you've been talking about. The greatest differentiating factor of playing live for me um, is the lack of warm up time.
Right.
So, my Valorant kids last year, I remember their warm up usually was 25-30 minutes long before they got to actually play a match. But when you're playing live, we give you 15 minutes to plug in all your stuff, warm up, and then we play. And so that's something that if you don't have the experience, it can really wear on you. Center School, that's why I'm watching them with all the rounds in person. Center School has been at GSE finals since their inception. And so that's how, they know how it works. They've been there before. They're prepared. They're very well coached. But my dark horse has got to be Stafford as well. Whenever I look at the bottom parts of the brackets, I look at the teams overperforming. And Stafford, out of 6 matches, won 14 games. So they're winning more than they needed to in order to actually win those matches. So that means they're taking games off teams that finished maybe above them, maybe with another bite of the apple. They can go a little further.
Yeah, and for my watch, I like Harrington Park. Harrington Park, an OG program. Really strong. Uh, for a majority of their GSE career, and so to see them in the upper part of the bracket, I think it might be for Harrington Park to make some noise. I know I talked to their coach. Coach Lee was very excited the fact that they get to come to their first playoffs. And then, like I always say, Mike, I'm a simple guy. See Burnett, pick Burnett. I saw Burnett was on there. Burnett, a legacy in Rocket League and Smash, and it might be their time to shine in Overcooked. I mean, and one of the things about the Burnett program, I think people always underestimate, they travel very well, right? The Burnett crew shows up, many of whom are dressed like barbarians. They're loud, they bring signs, and it can be intimidating. So, a program like Burnett that has multiple state titles across multiple games, on top of, you know, the the fact that they travel well. They were all at Georgian Court right in the fall. Um, if you're not ready, Burnett's gonna catch you. So, but that is middle school overcooked. Don't forget, friends, all rounds are live at Georgian Court. If you see your school's name up here on this bracket, warm the buses up, and we'll see you at Georgian Court on March 1st. All games played in person. Up next, let's talk about the Valkyrie League. Mike, work us through the Valkyrie League and why it's so important what we do at Garden State Esports.
Yeah, Valkyrie League is an additional championship level season for girls, those of marginalized genders, non-binary players, and we are very specific to say additional because we do have players that double dip, so to speak, where they will play in Valkyrie League and then they'll play in the co-ed league as well. And the reason why we do this is to create an opening for these players to feel comfortable enough to come out and play. Because we'll see later on in the show that there are actually Valkyrie eligible players that are making all-star teams in the co-ed side, but possibly may not have even come out for esports to play for their school had the Valkyrie League not existed. And so we make sure that we make this safe, inclusive place for these players who make up 50% of all gamers in the world. And yet when you see esports competitions happening, it's all boys. And so we're trying to create an opening for these players to get more comfortable competing, to be more comfortable in their school programs, and then continue to succeed in their co-ed program. So it's not a stepping stone. It's not a secondary league. It's a full varsity league. You win this league, you get a belt. And, we have many Valkyrie players who go on to lead their co-ed teams. And so that's what we're trying to do, is advocate for these players to be comfortable in their own skin, to be comfortable in their own abilities, and for everyone else to see that they are also extremely good. We've got Kayla the Packinator in the chat, Valkyrie, the two-way all-star themselves. So there are many examples that I can't name drop them all, but Valkyrie League we're incredibly proud of.
Yeah, I mean, and ultimately, to your point, Mike, right, one of the goals of GSE is to be as inclusive as possible. And one of the things that we noticed when we started the league 6 years ago, is we didn't have a lot of Valkyrie, categorized players coming out. And so, our early data said we had about 4% of the league identified as female. And since launching Valkyrie almost 3 years ago, they make up about 25% of the league. So we're continue to be excited to provide these opportunities for everybody to find a way to get into the game, because we know they play just as much as boys, but don't always feel accepted, safe. Gaming can be a toxic place, and we want to make sure GSE isn't. So happy to do this, and always excited for these matches. And so, for Overwatch, here are our playoff bound teams. We got the WPSD Comets, we got Plainfield, we got Barnegat, we got Mercer County Tech. WPSD Hybrid Comets jumping out as the conference champ to the first seed, who will be taking on Mercer Tech, and then Plainfield taking on Barnegat. The first round for these will be remote, right? So we're going to have some Valkyrie matches, hopefully get them streamed on February 5th. And then the winners will play for the state championship at Georgian Court.
Yeah, the only bummer is that we don't get to see the WPSD Mercer grudge match
Yes.
live. That has been a perennial rivalry, and it's so fun to see that they're being extremely friendly to one another before the match. Like, you see them in the wings waiting for the walk ups, and
Right.
they're joking around, and then they get into the game and they absolutely loathe one another, and then one of the teams wins, and you see the other one taking pictures with them. It's great. So it's a bummer that we don't get to see that, just in terms of like time and the space time continuum at Georgian Court. But hopefully we can get that stream so that everybody can enjoy these semifinal matches as well.
There you go. So, WPSD Mercer Tech, the grudge match continues in that first round, and then we'll see Plainfield versus Barnegat. We'll see how much of that Barnegat Overwatch dynasty has been rubbing off on the Valk players, and they'll be able to see how they go. And so for me, my win, you know what? I haven't seen Mercer County Tech in a minute. And I know that they are just a top-notch program. Pete runs a great program over there. The kids are wonderful. And I know that no matter who they play, WPSD, Barnegat, they always give the team a run for their money. So I believe, if I remember correctly, WPSD got the best of Mercer County Tech last year. I think that they've had a year to get that under control. And I think Mercer County Tech takes out WPSD. Also, because I just don't like the fact that these kids from Pennsylvania roll into Jersey with their attitude. And so I'm always happy to vote against my WPSD Valkyrie meme team over there, who takes it upon themselves, Mike, to meme me at every opportunity. So, Mercer County Tech, sorry WPSD, keep it moving.
So the reason you are memed unflatteringly is I picked WPSD Comets to win.
Sometimes it's that simple.
Defending champs, as far as I know, everybody's still there. So I mean, I got to go with WPSD. Like I said, I'm gonna miss watching the match just because it's so gritty to see those two teams play. It will be nice to see some fresh faces in the final when we get into a Valkyrie championship like this. So I'm also watching Barnegat. These kids live and breathe Overwatch over there, and so I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. They've got a rematch against Plainfield in order to break through. From what I understand, that was pretty close. So I think maybe with some VOD review and some strategizing, I think both of my teams are going to make the final and guarantee me some points in our picks competition.
All right, we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and pick Plainfield. You'll see a recurring theme throughout my picks. I'm taking some of these new kids on the block. Plainfield coming on strong, entering a lot of matches, making a lot of noise. So if Mercer County Tech can't upset that team from Penn, I think Plainfield gets the job done. All right? Boom. There it is. Up next, high school Overcooked. Walk us through. What do we got?
Yeah, so in high school Overcooked, we had so many teams compete. We actually have to split this into school group sizes. So the reason we do that is we do not want the large schools with 4,000 student enrollments steamrolling some of our smaller schools that only have about 400 kids to pull from when it comes to making an Overcooked team. So we will combine groups 1 and 2, our smaller schools, into a single 8 team bracket. Of those, we have 2 conference champions. We have Hopatcong, a perfect 6-0, 18-0. And then we have Manasquan coming in at 6-0 as well, but they dropped the game, so they take the second seed. Middle Township, Cape May Tech. Go Rangers, Wallkill Valley. That's my alma mater. They're coming in at the 5 seed. Then we have McNair, Old Tappan, and Hoboken rounding out our top 8.
And so if we throw it up on the big board here, we got Hopatcong taking on Hoboken. We got Cape May Tech taking on Wallkill Valley. Middle Township taking on McNair. And Squan taking on Northern Valley Old Tappan. So again, if you see your school's name on up here, we'll see you live at Georgian Court March 1st. You are playing live in the pits. And when we talk about our picks, Mike, let's go ahead. As I remember that I have multiple scenes to keep everybody's ADHD in check, like myself, right? Gives me something to do. If I don't push the buttons, I start to space out. But for me, I think we see return from the Manasquan Warriors, a program with multiple state titles, getting back into the playoffs here for Overcooked. Going to be their first opportunity to play at Georgian Court. And this is a team that's won state titles in front of big crowds. So I always can appreciate teams who come in as seasoned. But I see that you have selected, sir, the Kings of the Dead game.
It's true. Yeah, the game's not quite dead yet. So in this case, Hopatcong is the king of the winter addition to the lineup game. And I think
I'm
they're
just
going to.
hoping that it's not some type of like foreshadowing. That
Yeah, no, I'm sure we just
Hopatcong
cursed
wins the state
ourselves.
title, and then it comes out that Overcooked is like, nuking all the code or digital
Yeah,
copies of
Team
the game. We never
17 is
get to
just
play
shutting
again.
down. Yeah, 100%. No, I'm going to go with Hopatcong, but I'm closely watching Manasquan. It seems like in terms of high school Overcooked in groups 1 and 2, there were these 2 teams and then everybody else. But I also have to keep an eye on Wallkill Valley. No one has ever heard of us, and that makes us dangerous.
I like that it's an us now.
Well, it's my alma mater,
I
man.
just I just like that you're ride or die, 20, 30 years later.
100%. It's funny. The 4-5 game is actually Cape May Tech versus Wallkill Valley, which is our southernmost school versus our northernmost school.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah,
There we go.
I think they should have to drive to like somewhere in Somerset County to play, so it's a neutral location.
Yeah, or I wonder if there's somewhere in New Jersey that has like the stone that's like you're in the exact center of the state, and that's where we're gonna have our matchup. But for me to watch, gonna take Middle Township, another great district, always doing good things. Had a strong season. Looking at the top 4 there, trying to figure out who can make some noise. Went with Middle Township, and then that dark horse, Cape May Tech. Again, is one of those teams that is just always well coached by Coach Patters. Marcus is always doing great things. So it's not hard for me to hop, skip, and jump and pick up a Cape May Tech, as I try to catch back up in our contest of pick'ems over here. Excellent. So, one more time. Here's our Group 1 and 2 High School Overcook. Get your buses ready. As we jump into Groups 3 and 4, and I see my favorite symbol, the triangles.
Absolutely. So we'll start off with Bloomfield won their conference. They went 5-0. They won 15-2. They earned 15 points. I felt compelled to write that on the slide for some reason. But so they're the number 1 overall seed, and then Group 3 was interesting. We actually had a triangle of head-to-heads to determine who is the conference champion in Group 3. And the way that works is that Cranford beat Wayne Valley, but then Wayne Valley beat Morris Hills, and Morris Hills beat Cranford. And so now you're in this endless cycle of head to head, but I beat them, but I beat them, but I beat them. And so we need to sort this out somehow. So we take these three teams and we call that a triangle. And essentially, what we have to do is we have to sort these three teams before we can do literally anything else. And so, what we do with these three teams now, because the head to head is an invalid option, is we throw that out as a criteria and we start over again in the flow chart until we find out something that makes a team different enough that they shake out of this triangle and break a three-way tie and bring us back to a two-way tie that we can then sort out with a head-to-head matchup from there. And the way that works is Morris Hills wound up having the lowest playoff score of the three, so they shake out on the bottom of that mini three ranking system we have to do, and then we can reset and we go back to the head-to-head. And Cranford had beaten Wayne Valley, and so Cranford becomes the conference champion and gets the number 2 seed. From there, Wayne Valley, Morris Hills, because the triangles must be satisfied, you will always see a triangle seated boom, 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 one right after the other before anyone else can break into it. And so we then put Wayne Valley, Morris Hills as the 3-4. Livingston comes in at our 5 seed, Central Regional, Eastern Regional, and those plucky kids from Pennsylvania, the WPSD Comets, are rounding out the top 8.
There we go. And so if we take a look at the bracket, we're going to have Bloomfield versus WPSD. We got Morris Hills versus Livingston. We got Wayne Valley versus Central Regional. And then we got Cranford versus Easton rounding out the bottom of our bracket. And so for me, I'm going to go with Bloomfield. I know that it looks like they played maybe in a little bit of a down conference. But going 5-0, running that conference, I think is worth something. And so I like the idea, again, Bloomfield punching their ticket, getting to come to play in their first playoff. Liking the way Bloomfield's looking.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cranford, and not for the least bit, the fact that they named their team the Grillbillies.
Which was, that was good. I was laughing. The Grillbillies is a quality name. But, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time, but their actual mascot is the Hillbilly.
Yeah, and I feel seen. I mean, I'm from Walkill Valley, and I feel seen. Anytime, Verona, also the Hillbillies, and I appreciate that.
Hey, I mean, I don't know.
Us hill people need to be represented.
Hillbillies is that's a choice you can make when you pick a mascot, I guess. You can be a hillbilly, I suppose.
But I'm throwing Morris Hills in the mix. I mean, that triangle to win a conference, that's always dicey to break out. The teams are just so close. We have to assign them numbers from 1 to 8. But the reality of the situation is that they're all so close. So I'm keeping an eye on 2/3 of that triangle.
Yeah.
And then Livingston, another fresh face. You don't know what's going to happen when you see them live. Everybody's playing live now. It used to be, those early matches where you had the big seed discrepancies were played remotely from the number 1 seed got their plush, relaxing warm up and everything like that. Now it's live, and we did see in the fall, we saw 8s take out 1s. So it is a thing that happens.
And for me to watch, I like my Wayne Valley team. Think they could make some noise, had a strong season. And Dark Horse going to pick another new kid, Central Regional. When you talk about where I grew up, went to Lacey Township High School, Central Regional, being our arch rivals. They're always competitive. Brand new program, first season, first title, first playoff, run. So we'll see if maybe Central Regional's got a little magic in store, right? So until those Lacey Lions join the league, I'm okay going for Central Regional. And there we have it, friends. So again, if you're on the bracket, you are coming to Georgian Court. Get your bus paperwork in. And then we jump down to a little Street Fighter.
Yeah, we're getting into Street Fighter now. And of course, we have to start complicated. So we've got groups 1 and 2 again combined for Street Fighter. And if you see some triangles down there at the bottom, that's going to be interesting. But Cedar Grove and Hoboken are our top 2 seeds as our conference winners, followed up by McNair, Waldwick, and Verona, a bunch of 4 and 2 teams. Then we have Woodbury coming in at the 6, and then we have a potential triangle forming. We actually have one match that is still outstanding at air date of this stream, where we actually have a match with playoff implications that was an approved reschedule by us. When the Army comes and says we need to test your ROTC kids, you don't say, "Hey, we have a Street Fighter match." So we let them reschedule, and they will play. If Mercer Tech wins, the way the triangle shakes out is they will be the number 8 seed. If Mercer Tech loses this match, it will go to Community Heights or Community Health Academy of the Heights.
Yes.
So TBD. We'll blast this out on all of the socials. I think that's how people talk about it.
That's what the kids say, right? The socials?
Yeah, that's what they say, the socials. But so that last seed is to be determined. We will let you know if it is you, but it's
And they
either
play,
Shaw or it's
they play
Mercer.
Monday, right?
They play tomorrow or Wednesday.
Tomorrow.
they were
Well,
still
yeah,
working
today's
that.
Monday, so that really wouldn't have worked out. So tomorrow, Wednesday, cool. And so when we throw it up on the bracket, right, we got Cedar Grove versus TBD, Waldwick versus Verona, McNair versus Woodbury, and Hoboken versus Beloved Community. And for me, I like Hoboken. I like the way they played last year. Hoboken was had a great Street Fighter showing last year. It's a school that really is into the fighting game scene, and so I'm hoping that they continue to do well and they continue to represent. My watch is Verona, only because somehow the local Verona newspaper got my cell phone number and called me today. So I have to think that there's something going on down there that I don't know how they got my number, but Verona called for comment this morning about potentially Verona getting into the playoffs, and here we are. So to Verona Reporter, as promised, Verona's in the playoffs. So come on up and do a story. But what do you got? You got Cedar Grove here, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cedar Grove. I mean, their performance over the course of the season was fairly dominant. I know they have a strong program there. We missed them last winter. They couldn't get a bus, and because we play live, that is an important accessory to have. So I think these kids are going to be a little hungry, looking for some titles. But you got to watch out for McNair. I mean, they always come in strong as well. And then again, I feel seen, so I'm with Verona, the Hillbillies.
There you go. And you'll see my dark horse, I've gone with TBD.
Yes.
My theory is whoever gets in, whether it's Mercer, whether it's Community Health, driving down from the Bronx, they're going to be hungry. So I'm looking for my TBD team to come in riding the hype that is this last-second win, this last-second announcement, potentially to a state title. So I'll be taking TBD as my dark horse. And so let's see, what do we have for our groups 3 and 4 Street Fighter extravaganza? Walk us through it.
Yeah, so we had 3 conferences make up groups 3 and 4. The reason for that is that we had so many group 4 schools sign up for Street Fighter. And these were schools with 1,800 plus students each, and it just wasn't fair to then just divide that evenly. So we have 3 conference champions taking 3 of those 8 spots, and we've got Dover, we've got GAMI, we've got High Tech, some pretty recognizable names. Dover's a little new, but Absagami and High Tech, some pretty recognizable names. The difference between Dover and Absagami was a strength of schedule of 0.16. And so I think that was literally like a game someplace, like a set somewhere, broke differently in one of those conferences. But then that means that you had to be 5-2 and win extra sets in order to just make the playoffs. We see Phillipsburg 6-1, Plainfield 6-1, Oakcrest 5-2, Egg Harbor Township 5-2, Haddon Heights 5-2. So we had 4 and 3 teams that they weren't good enough. I think Group 3-4 Street Fighter is going to be wild.
And so when we throw it up on the bracket, playing live at Georgian Court, we got Dover versus Haddon Heights, we got Peaburg versus Plainfield, we got High Tech versus Oakcrest, We got Gammy versus Egg Harbor Township. Playing live. Get the buses going. And for me, Mike, I'm gonna stick with my theme. I like the new programs. I like the new guys coming, the new girls coming, and I'm gonna go ahead and take Dover. I think Dover's going to bring home first appearance, first state title, and in that top bracket, I like me some Peaburg. Same thing. The wrestling powerhouse Peaburg coming down to Street Fighter. First, Street Fighter season. First playoff appearance could be first title.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the OGs. I'm gonna go with Absicami to win. I'm watching High Tech. They made appearance in the finals last year, and I think they're gonna be back. But then my dark horse is Oakcrest. Oakcrest really overperformed again. I mean, they when you go 5-2, your expected wins is 15, and they won 19 sets. So there are some sets in there that if they break the other way, Oakcrest is maybe 6-1, maybe 7-0. So I'm keeping an eye on them rising through this bracket of extremely close competition.
It's going to be tough. I mean, and I think High Tech is a good call out too, because let's not forget, Luigi Kid plays him some Street Fighter. So, and they were in the finals last year against Ocean. So, High Tech definitely nice to watch. My dark horse are going to go with Egg Harbor Township. I feel like there's something going on down in South Jersey around the wonderful world of fighting games. Whether you got Gammy, you got Oakcrest, you got Egg Harbor. I felt like throwing up a South Jersey team. So we'll see if Egg Harbor can bring it home. But so let us show you one more time your bracket. Again, Dover, Haddon Heights, Peaburg, Plainfield, High Tech, Oakcrest, Gammy, Egg Harbor. Get the buses. We will see you March 1st at Georgian Court. Which I believe brings us to Overwatch. Is that correct, Mike?
Overwatch, yes. The game everyone's waiting for.
That's right. And I think we have to point out about Overwatch before we start is
Yes.
each group has their own state championship. So we'll have groups
Yes.
1, 2, 3, and 4 because our Overwatch season was gigantic.
Yes.
So we have the opportunity to give every group a state title. And then, correct me, Mike, if I'm wrong, but the first round of Overwatch is going to be played virtually.
That's correct. The first round of Overwatch will actually be played this Thursday.
Exactly. So want to make sure I point that out before the reveal because we have seen that if you made Street Fighter, if you made Overcooked, outside of Valkyrie, everybody who's seen their name is jumping on a bus. So
Yes.
I want to make sure people hear loud and clear for Overwatch, your first round is virtual and your match is in a couple days. So
Correct.
let's see who is going.
Well, there's also one more note on Overwatch. So essentially,
Yes, sir.
if you have made the playoffs in Overwatch, whether co-ed or Valkyrie, the first round of playoffs, whether that's the round of 4 or the round of 8 in your bracket, is played on Thursday. That is because there is a patch coming, and we want to minimize the difference in playing field between what we all competed on in the regular season and what we're expected to do in the playoffs. So we get the match out of the way, the patch hits, everybody preps, everybody's in the same boat in terms of, adapting to whatever shenanigans Blizzard has decided to pull this February. Still got sour grapes from last year. But we move on. So getting into it now, Group 1, Waldwick at a perfect 7-0, 14-0. Woodbury City coming in at 7-0, winning their conference. For all of these groups, we get a North Conference and a South Conference. So Waldwick were your North champion, Woodbury were your South champions. Liberty High School from Jersey City coming in at 6-1. Cape May Tech, Mercer Tech at the 4-5. Cedar Grove, again, missed out on the Group 1 Overwatch finals last year. They got a shot to win a match, get a bus, and get on down there. David Brearley and then Newark Data. Love seeing them play. Finish out our top 8.
There we go. We put it up on the bracket. Group 1 Overwatch playing remotely this Thursday. Waldwick versus Newark Data. You got Cape May Tech versus Mercer Tech. You got Liberty versus Cedar Grove. And you got Woodbury versus David Brearley.
And all playoff matches are now best of 5. They are
Correct.
first to 3 map wins. If you tie a map, reset, loser of the map that got lost last picks the next map, and you just keep going till one team wins 3 maps. So regular season was best of 3. We now move to best of 5. You have to sustain that success. It also means reverse sweeps are in play. They happen all the time. And so playoffs get a little bit more chaotic with a best of 5, ironically.
There you go. And so, pick to win. I'm gonna take my Woodbury team. I'm gonna take Coach DeMarco bringing home a state title for the Woodbury Herd. I like me some Mercer Tech. Always have a good showing when it comes to Overwatch. And then with my dark horse, I just like the way that they travel. I like the attitude. I like the way that they came into the fall championships. I'm a Newark Data Tech fan. Newark Data. Newark Data, the dark horse. Watch out for them. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, if they take out Waldwick, who the heck knows what's happening in that bracket?
Who's gonna stop them?
But for me, I can't see a team really go 7-0, 14-0 in Overwatch and not really expect them to continue to win. What's weird is that they're gonna face one team out of the South out of that 4-5. I think it's going to be Cape May Tech, our defending champions. I don't know how many people they graduated, but they're certainly still good enough to be 6-1. Um, and then again, Cedar Grove. I think they're our dark horse coming out of the bottom of that bracket. All you have to do is take somebody out, and now you're playing on a stage, and everybody's yelling at you, and you miss your Sojourn headshot, and that's pretty much it.
There you go. So that is Overwatch Group 1. Your first match is on Thursday. Coaches, reach out to your opponent. Start getting things set up. Do not forget, you can only reschedule a playoff match with our approval. So we need to know ASAP if something's going on. But we expect all the matches to be played, especially with Overwatch, Mike. We're probably going to stick really strongly to that because we got to get the match in before the patch. And so that way we have our pre-match playoffs and then we have our post-match playoffs, which will be fair in its unfairness. All the Overwatch teams can suffer together as they overcome adversity to figure out what the new meta is. I mean, talk about a really cool opportunity, right? You may not be the best team mechanically in Overwatch, but if you're the team that could adapt to the patch and come up with the new meta or something like that as quickly as possible, who knows? I think we saw a little bit of that last year, right? You know, the patch dropped and the compositions changed, and the teams that adapted the quickest, I think, went a little bit further. I think we both may have missed, our championship pick just because we had a little bit of a, upset.
Yes, we did.
Let's take a look at 2.
Yeah, Group 2, the best group.
This is a solid group. 2 is a good group.
Yeah, so we've got Barnegat at the perfect 7-0, 14-0. They won the South. Demarest went 7-0. They dropped a single map. They won the North. And then we have South Plainfield. Then we have West Essex, Middle Township, and Pleasantville are all at 5-2, 10-4. We'll get to that in a second. Cumberland Regional at 4-3, and then McNair Academic at 4-3. And so the way we split out West Essex, Middle Township, and Pleasantville is Middle Township actually has a head-to-head over Pleasantville. So they, with the same record, can jump a spot. However, they also have a forfeit loss. West Essex did not have any forfeits, and so all things being equal, West Essex goes above Middle Township. So you actually see the penalty there of that forfeit loss. Not only did it drop their record from what could have been a 6-1 to a 5-2, they drop another seed as well in terms of the forfeit being the tiebreaker there. So, but this is a very close bracket. Teams, I would argue, teams 1 through 8 really all have a chance. McNair Academic has been at the championships before. They were at Kane in the semifinal. I believe they were also at Brookdale in a semifinal. So it's all very close.
Absolutely, and you throw in again the uncertainty of the patch and the new meta that might come out of it. This is going to be competitive, but Again, playing remotely Thursday. You got Barnegat versus McNair. You got West Essex versus Middle Township. You got South Plainfield versus Pleasantville, and you got Demarest versus Cumberland Regional. Um, and then for me, I mean, listen, it's hard to pick against Barnegat when it comes to Overwatch. That team has not dropped a map, I believe, in 2 years. Is the last check in I had with Coach Sellers and the team. Um, I think he's feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, you watch the final from last year, a clean sweep at Brookdale, and then they didn't lose a single map since then. I think they've had some kids move out of the district, and they didn't miss a beat. And so to see that sort of dominance continue, I think they have to be the odds-on favorites to win. But if anybody's going to take them out, I think it's going to be Demarest. We see them perform extremely well under live conditions.
Yep.
You know, just you have to look no further than their League of Legends performance in the fall.
Yeah.
In Valorant last year, they went all the pushed us to the brink, West Essex in the championship rounds in Valorant. So I think you get them after if they get a match under their belt and they're there live. We'll see what happens. But then my dark horse, it's my guys. It's got to be West Essex. I think these kids, they're really putting it together recently and peaking at the right time. And I think if they can pull off some well coordinated stuff, I think they might be able to have a stunner on stage.
There you go. I'm going to take South Plainfield. I like the cut of their jib. I think it's a team that can compete and is able to get out of that mix a little bit. And so I think South Plainfield's going to have a good showing. And then for me, Cumberland Regional, hey, if they're going to make that drive, they're going to make the win. You know what I mean? That's a long way to go. So for me, if they're coming to win. So I like me some Cumberland Regional representing an area of New Jersey that we don't have a ton of teams in. So definitely would like to see them win a state title, bring it back, and get more teams over in that part of Jersey in the league. So rooting for my friends at Cumberland. Think they're gonna have a really good tournament. So just gotta make it through, right, that first round, and then to me again, I think all bets are off when there's a new patch.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Blizzard's being very secretive about it. I don't know if it's going to be hero bans, if it's going to be updates to mechanics like they did last year. So we're going to take a look as a league as I fill time here with the ads going so that nobody misses their bracket. But we're going to take a look at a league of what they announce, what we have the ability to keep as close to normal that we had over the regular season. And then we'll go from there based on what they announced. I mean, when they changed how the role bonuses work last year with the DPS, applying the healing debuff, we actually looked if there was a way for us to make a custom workshop code to turn that off.
Right.
And there were just so many underlying foundational changes that they made. We were just physically incapable of doing anything about it. So our sort of modus operandi is that we want to make sure that the playoffs reflect the regular season. We don't want to play playoff matches under different rules than the playoffs if we can help it. So we're going to take a look at what comes out, and then we'll go from there. And we'll make sure everybody knows exactly how we're going to approach it, based on what they announced. But they're being very secretive to get as many eyeballs on their stream as possible. Tear yourself away from the Marvel Rivals competitions to watch this Overwatch stream. But we'll see what they come out with, and then make our determinations there well in advance so the teams can prep.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll tell a quick story while the ads wrap up is so the current tournament operator, license operator for Blizzard is actually a former GSE South Plainfield student. So I did email him yesterday and I said, hey, we have our tournament coming up. Could you maybe not IP ban us? We'll get you the IPs. That would be great. Oh, and if you could leak the patch to me, that would also be great. So we can figure out what exactly we might be in store for. So, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of neat that he's a South Plainfield kid who played in GSE. So you never know where you might end up in this wonderful world of esports. And listen, I think if we get out of this without having to return to a 6v6, I think it's a win. So otherwise, hope.
Yeah, that's the doomsday scenario.
Right.
Surprise, playoff teams, go get yourself another tank
Yeah.
player.
Listen. Well, I mean, hey, maybe it's a good time to mention that roster's lock. In the next 24 hours or
Yeah,
so. So
roster's lock. As soon as I make the brackets live, the roster's lock. So that's. Hopefully, you have someone who can play tank somewhere
right.
on your roster.
You may or may not want to throw an extra tank on the roster for your subs, because again, if we're going 6v, who knows how it's going to go down. But let's jump ahead. Let's talk Overwatch Group 3.
Group 3. So we have Long Branch and Scotch Plains. Both of these teams were perfect in the regular season. Again, strength of schedule comes down to the thousandth of the point. It's a single map somewhere is the difference between these two teams. So when you're talking about a 1 seed and a 2 seed, honestly, the differentiation between the two of them is not all that important. They're on completely separate sides of the bracket. Take care of business, and it doesn't really matter. But standing in their ways, we have Steinert at 6-1, Mainland Regional at 5-2. St. Peter's Prep jumps Snyder with the head-to-head. Snyder takes the 6th seed. Then we have Mattawan at the 7, and Wayne Valley rounding out the top 8.
Beautiful. And we take a look at it on the bracket. We got Long Branch in the 1 seed playing Wayne Valley. We got Mainland St. Peter's Prep. We got Steinert, Henry Snyder. We got SPF playing Mattawan. And as far as picks, I got the Green Wave, man. I like me some Green Wave. I'll tell you what. Growing up in the Jersey Shore, always been a fan of the programs that they have over there. I also have it on good account that we have quite the Cinderella story going down right now at Long Branch. 0-7 2 years ago. Had a decent season last year, and now they're 7-0, trying to make a run. So, you know me, I'm an emotional guy. So anytime I see a Cinderella story, anybody I see the opportunity, for somebody to live out their dream, I'm always gonna pick them. So September, good guy, always running around our Discord, and Long Branch over there, big fans. And as Coach Rob from Old Bridge accurately pointed out, I'm picking all the good wrestling teams as well. So,
It's good to have a method.
It's always good to have a method, right? New, and if you can wrestle, I'm sure you can play some video games. But Mainland jumping back into the league this year, excited to have them. They made some playoffs last year, and now that they're back in the winter season, very possible to see them make a run. Again, St. Peter's Prep, my dark horse. I think they could get it done too. What do you got, Mike?
I mean, I have to go with SPF. I believe they have 2 Overwatch titles in a row. They have not graduated anyone from any of those rosters. And not only that, but they've suffered through adversity as well on stage. So at Kane 2 years ago, they went down 2-0 to East Brunswick, I think it was, and reverse swept for their first title.
That was wild.
So, and those kids did that as freshmen and sophomores. So they have that in the memory banks to fall back on. And then last year, just, dominance again. But I'm watching Steinert. I feel like we always ignore the 3 seeds, but Steinert actually put together a really good campaign. And they're going to be, if everything goes on seed in that first round, they're playing SPF in the semifinal. And then I feel like you beat SPF, it's either, the emotional drop off, or you can just harness that momentum and just keep going. And then Henry Snyder's my dark horse. I feel like they always fly under the radar as a program, weirdly, which is crazy because they're like always at championships. But they've got that 6 seed, which I think is also a similarly dangerous one to have. And so, take somebody out and make a run.
Beautiful. And now we got the big schools. Taking a look. Group 4 Overwatch. Walk us through.
Yeah, so Plainfield gets the top seed going 7-1 or 7-0. Sorry. Trenton Central actually wins their conference with the head-to-head over Freehold. Freehold has the higher playoff score, but Trenton Central jumps 1 spot and takes the 2 seed with the conference win. Then Freehold gets the 3. And then we have an interesting triangle plus also tied with Edison situation. where we've got 4 teams at 5-2 with exact same, in match records and things like that. So Passaic County Tech, Bayonne, and Memorial were all in the same conference, and they had a head-to-head triangle. Memorial shakes out because after we go down the flow chart after head-to-heads. The next one is forfeits. Memorial had a forfeit loss, so they shake out on the bottom. And then Passaic County had the head-to-head win over Bayonne, so that's how we sort them out 1, 2, 3 within the triangle. And then that whole triangle goes above Edison because Bayonne's best win was over a third place team, whereas Edison's best win was over a fourth place team.
Right, and so that drags the whole triangle with them.
Yes, so Passaic brings the whole triangle with them. All 3 of those triangle symbols have to be together, and then East Brunswick rounds out the top 8. But again, Group 4, you had to be 5-2 to make the playoffs. Like, and not only 5-2, but you had to be very careful about how many maps you drop, things like that. So this is an incredibly competitive bracket.
Beautiful. And here's what that bracket looks like. You got Plainfield versus East Brunswick. You got Passaic Tech versus Bayonne. You got Freehold versus Memorial. And then you got Trenton Central versus Edison. And for me, I'm rooting for Trenton Central here. Again, you're talking about old school, storied school, big school, Trenton Central. For them to jump into the league and to be, a top seed in Overwatch in their first season in the league. I mean, to me, again, it reminds me of the way that, Newark Data and East Side Newark kind of stormed into the league. The fact that we got Trenton Central coming in and hoping to make, hoping to make a name for the program right off the bat. I'm really excited to see Trenton Central play. And my to watch is your to win Freehold. Freehold, another big storied school. They're good, man. What do you think about them?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to get their revenge eventually on Trenton Central when they've faced them in the later rounds. But I think that head-to-head loss gives them something to fight for. They probably have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. But you got to look out for Passaic Tech as well, another school that knows what it's like to play live. And if you're in the top half of this bracket, seeds 1 through 4, everything goes on seed. You sort of expect to be in the semis, so that's where the live experience comes into play. But my dark horse is Edison. I'm rolling the dice a little bit. An 8 seed is a dark horse, but like I was saying, it's all so close.
Yeah.
You had to be 5-2 to make it in order to make the top half of Group 4. So none of these teams are slouches. And now you're talking a best of 5. Maybe an Edison learns over the first 2 games. Maybe they go down 0-2. And we look at some reverse sweeps, things like that happen with the added clock that a best of 5 gives you. You don't know what's going to happen. You can win the first 2 maps and you have the robot pass the second checkpoint on push and you get reverse swept and you're knocked out of the playoffs.
True, stamina is going to be an issue. That you make it to Georgian Court. You're playing twice in a day, and you're playing 2 matches potentially per game. That's almost 3 regular season games. So I wanted to pick somebody out of that triangle. I know Coach Fung over at Bayonne runs a wonderful program, and I got to talk to him a lot this season. So I'm going to go pick Bayonne. I think that they got a chance to come out of that triangle and make some noise. And with that, Mike, that brings us to the end of our bracket portion of the show, and now we got some All-Stars.
Yeah.
Walk us through the All-Stars process.
Yeah, so the way we do All-Stars in GSE is it is a coach vote. So when the club advisor submits the score for the match, they are required to nominate a player of the game from their own team and a player of the game from the opposing team. So they are allowed to use whatever criteria they want in order to pick those people. But we tally all of those up at the end, and our top vote getters make our all-star team. So what we do, again, started with math. We're going to end with math. We have the number of all-stars that is 2 times the number of starters on a team plus 2. So for Overcooked, you'll see that we have 6 all-stars. For Overwatch, you'll see that we have 12 all-stars. And it's a ranking system based on those coach votes. And whenever it comes down to ties, The tiebreak is how many times an opposing coach voted for you. So
Right.
if you're doing enough to impress the opposing club advisor to nominate you as player of the game for the other team, that means you're standing out among your peers, and we want to reward that. So this is our way of recognizing our most recognizable players from across the league. It has nothing to do with where your team finished in the standings. It is entirely you got recognized by the coaches in the league for performing well.
There you go. And we invite all our All Stars to come and be recognized. We will have our All Star recognition ceremony. You come get a certificate, you get a cool pin, and yeah, come be a part of it. So, congratulations to these All Stars who were recognized by coaches throughout their state, throughout the state, that they played, not just their own. And so, we'll start with middle school Overcooked. We got Dahlia Ness from Camden's Promise, Mora from Boys and Girls Club of Camden. We got Kevin from Center School. We got Annabelle from Western Penn School for the Deaf. We got Abigail F. from Burnett, and we got Gina F. from Woodbury. Those are all stars for middle school Overcooked. You want to do high school Overcooked?
Yeah, high school Overcooked. We have Yamil G from Payne Tech, Maria T from Cape May Tech, John H from Newark Tech. We have Anna from WPSD Comets. We have Aiden F from Morris Hills and Isabella B from Bloomfields.
Beautiful. Let's talk about our Street Fighter All Stars. We got Aiden from Morris Hills. We got Jalissa from Old Bridge. We got Joseph from JFK. We got Serena T from SPF. Justino from Hoboken. Aramasa from Egg Harbor. Junior from Pleasantville. And Caden from Woodbury. And I want to give a quick shout out to Serena because I was talking to Coach Ray. It is my understanding that they have not dropped a match in Street Fighter in 2 years, which I'm pretty sure is when we just started playing Street Fighter. So, definitely excited to have them. Excited to acknowledge them. And I see Caden, who I believe has been an all-star before. You start to see some of these names pop up over and over again, so it's pretty neat. So, but just happened to be talking to Coach Ray, and he told me that cool story, so I wanted to share it. So, we should have, I believe, maybe some open play Street Fighter walk-up tournaments at Georgian Court. So, if anybody wants to challenge Serena to a match, that might be cool. So, Overwatch All Stars.
Yeah, so for Overwatch, we have Chelsea from Middlesex. We have Raphael from Mercer Tech, Luke from Manchester Township, Nick Est from Barnegat, Jefferson from South Plainfield, Mickle from Morris Hills, Baldwin B from Mainland, Tyler P from Payne Tech, Josiah D from Hoboken, Caitlin G from Manasquan, Metahan K from West Essex, and Max G from Scotch Plains Fanwood. And this is kind of what we were talking about where we're starting to see some true co-ed action on the All-Stars. And so, not all of the Valkyrie eligible school, they may not have Valkyrie teams at their school, but maybe they should start one. I actually saw that Middlesex was threatening a Valkyrie Valorant squad in the chat earlier, so I'm looking forward to that. But it's good to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really what it's all about is, platforming as many kids and creating as many opportunities as possible. And so for our Valkyrie Overwatch, we have Jaden from Barnegat, one of my favorite casters. We got Shay from WPSD, who is a perennial all-star in the Overwatch League. We got Anaya from Mercer, Sophia from Mercer. We got Naomi from Plainfield. And we got a two-timer. Serena is back from SPF Valkyrie Overwatch. So excited for that crew as well. And then, let me see. I think I broke our slides. I did. So I'll skip it because I pulled a quick one on you, Mike, when you weren't looking. And I edited the last slides. I want to give a quick shout out and make sure everybody knows. So if you weren't aware, last year, Garden State Esports started a college league. And the GSE Collegiate Circuit is a face-to-face, the only face-to-face college league in the country. And the main reason is when we have our, well, number one, we have enough kids now graduating out of GSE and staying in college um, in New Jersey that they have basically demanded to continue to play with us. So what's exciting for me is Monmouth University, Georgian Court University, Princeton University, Rutgers, New Brunswick, Rowan University. There are a lot of programs that are either being run by or were started by former GSE alumni who are now at the college level. And the goal for me, right, is always to have a place where we can send our middle schools and high schools to watch a college match, to get a college tour, to see what the college scene looks like, because we want to keep everybody in Jersey, right? Why break up the family? Um, and so, what you are going to see for the first time ever is the championships of our collegiate circuit played right alongside our state championships. So, if you are coming to Georgian Court, you will see NJIT take on Brookdale and Stockton take on Kane for our Rocket League championship for the collegiate circuit. And we are also going to have Championship College Smash Cruise, where we're going to have Rutgers University. And if you know about that squad, they got Farrow and they got some other, top level Smash players. I was actually talking to a bunch of the collegiate Smash players, and Luigi kid's in the chat too, so he probably even knows better than me. Oh, Kayla's here too. They probably know better than me. But in talking to some of the college players, I believe 8 or 10 of the top 15 players that are ranked on power rankings are actually in the GSE collegiate circuit or a GSE high school. But nonetheless, Rutgers University is going to take on NJIT. Stockton is going to take on Brookdale for our Smash Cruise Championship. So even though we're not offering Smash at a high school level, you can, step up on the stage and watch the colleges play. So, and that's something that we're going to continue. We have the spring college circuit going off right now. And so we are doing Smash Cruise again because they just love Smash here in Jersey colleges. So Smash is going to be the main game that we play at the college level. And then instead of Rocket League for this spring, we're actually going to be playing Overwatch. So excited to say that in the spring, we will have some more college Smash and we'll actually have some college Overwatch, be played at the spring championships. So, if you guys want to continue your esports career and your passion for gaming and you want to take it into college, just know that we have 22 colleges playing with us now in Garden State Esports. So chances are by the time you get there, there's 36 collegiate esports programs in the state. And we got 22 playing with us. So super excited to continue to platform everybody and looking forward to keeping some of our alumni still involved, still in the league, still playing with us. So shout out to all our colleges coming to play the championship at Georgian Court University. It's going to be fantastic. And Mike, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what that schedule is going to look like for the lead up?
Yeah, this graphic is the incredibly complicated playoff schedule. If you play Overwatch, your first match is on Thursday. If you play anything else, you train up till March 1st. If you win your first round match in all those Overwatch brackets, hang tight, learn the patch, and we'll see you in March.
Wonderful. And our new and improved layout, if you want to mention any of this.
Yeah, so we're always trying to be better, and we understand that we're extremely popular. Humble brag. So a lot of people come to our stuff. But so this is what the layout of the event is going to look like, just so you can orient yourself a little bit. You'll see Overcooked in the bottom right of the layout. And we have our 3 stages set up, shifted around a little bit just to make the flow work. And a dedicated area for walk-ups this time, just to keep that crowd separate from some of our competitors who are getting squished a little bit. We also are adding a sort of on the bottom left there for club advisors. That's the tournament information desk. You'll be directed there when you show up with your team if you're competing. That is where you're going to get your bracket information. That is where you're going to get your score sheets to fill out. That is where you're going to turn them back in and find out when and where your next match is. And so that's your hub for any questions you may have about the ongoing championships information. So if you're there to play walk-ups, that is on the right side of this graphic. If you are competing, that is on the left side of this graphic. Trying to keep, like Chris said, just as packed, just a little bit better managed. And now we've also got, we're going to be keeping spectators a little bit further away from our competitors as well, in between those rows of computers, where you guys are just so good, your parents and your friends, they want to watch you play, but we also want to make sure that everybody is being safe and um, you know being allowed to breathe and stuff like that.
um, yeah, and so those red lines represent where we're gonna put up some. I forget what the fancy word is, but some VIP ropes,
Yeah, stanchions.
stanchions. Okay, so we got some stanchions we're gonna put up, and not listed, but I know everybody was asking. The comic book store will be back, so if you didn't go to the fall championship, we have a full blown comic book store that we have built in our tournament space. So comic book store will be there along with some other cool vendors. We'll have College Row again. College is coming out. Lots of cool stuff to do. We'll have walk ups, like you said, Mike, all day.
Yes.
So you don't have to wait until noon to walk up. We'll have plenty for everybody to do all day. So it's going to be another great event. Mike, you did a great job, not just with the tournament brackets that you did today, but also getting that floor plan sorted. And here is the overview for those of you guys who haven't come yet. But let me get my little mouse going here. The entrance is over here, and we will park over here. I'm sorry, yeah. And then you're going to walk to the Georgian Court Casino. And that's where we will see you on the 1st. And if you take a look at the chat, Vice President of GSE, Miss Regina Schaefer Carr, is dropping the link to our tickets. If you are a GSE team member, a GSE club advisor, if you're part of the program, you do not need a ticket. However, if your parents are coming, if your friends are coming, if you're having folks come out support you, club advisors, if you want to invite principals, you want to invite superintendents, you're trying to invite boards of ed, if you are not a GSE team member or coach, we do ask that you get a ticket. Beyond being able to figure out how many people are going to be there, right? It helps us be able to pay the bills. So please make sure that you get your tickets. And if you want to make sure you look your best at the event, we do have our GSE swag shop, gseswag.com, of which I'm wearing. It's hard to see, but I
The
wish it was a
holiday
little bit lower.
sweater.
But it is my ugly Christmas sweater that I do enjoy during these cold months. But the GSE swag shop, we got some pretty cool stuff. A lot of streetwear and some other stuff. As we eventually get ready to launch a fashion curriculum, because if you didn't know, streetwear and fashion and merch drops are one of the major moneymakers in the wonderful world of esports. So, yeah, get your GSE shoes, get your GSE hat, get your GSE whatever you want. So that way you look the part. And we will see you at Georgian Court. So, on behalf of Mike and everybody else at the GSE team, thank you for tuning in. We are excited to see you Georgian Court. So play your matches on Thursday, Overwatch. Everybody else, get your buses. If for whatever crazy reason you can't make it to Georgian Court, please let us know as soon as possible, so that way we can give your spot to the next most worthy team, because we won't do forfeits, especially down in person. So that being said, over the next couple days, keep your esports team around, right? If you didn't make the playoffs, keep your esports team around, because we usually have, one, maybe two cases where I got to make a call and say, hey, you want to come play in the playoffs? So keep your team frosty. And outside of that, we will see you at Georgian Court. Yeah.
Outside of that, spring championships registration, our varsity
Yes.
seasons is currently live and filling up. We're
Yes.
already at 35 Smash teams for high school. So if you know that you're playing Smash, if you know you're playing Valorant, please get registered. Those registrations close the night before the spring championships or the winter championships, because the spring season starts the next week.
This is true.
So get registered, get ready. We roll on.
Fantastic. All right. On behalf of everybody here at GSE, Mike, thank you for all your hard work. Thank you to Jim and Waz and Dina and Regina and everybody else who's part of the GSE team. Doug, thank you to our mods and our student leaders and Anna and September and everybody else who held down the chat today. We'll see you at Georgian Court March 1st. Have a good one.
GLHF.
And Protroid. Can't forget my boy Protroid. Take care.